Hey Nicholas, good to see you.
Hi.
It's been a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
I hope you're well.
I am.
Good, good. Um, I will give Marco a little nudge, but he might be on his way home from the office still. So we get the opportunity to take advantage of Marco's absence and try and pick something to look at. Um, did you have anything on your list at all?
Uh, Besides some review feedback about needing specs for simple methods, no.
So the one that you dropped into the channel, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm interested in a bit of context actually, because obviously I asked the question probably naively about could it be a const, and I know you said it needs to be a method.
Yeah, it's with the integrations and they are overriding the methods partly from the base classes.
Gotcha. I must admit I'm not sure exactly what the issues were. Hi, Marco. Um,
Hello.
I saw you got there's some back and forth on a few MRs relating to like Slack or Discord or integrations or something along those lines. I did I yeah, I chose to to not look at the details. I think they're quite I don't know if legacy is the right word, but it's quite old code that maybe doesn't get visited that often. So maybe there's some sort of, and I say opportunity to improve the kind of techniques and the way that it works, but at the same time, the words I'm probably looking for are tech debt, right?
Possible.
Um,
So I've put the MR into the thread if you're interested in more context.
awesome, yeah, always, always.
Is it only me, or did they change the font color of the MR tabs?
Let me have a look. I haven't spotted anything yet, but
That's gray, or maybe I never noticed it.
no, you said it. Yeah, let me just I may as well share my screen. I don't think I've got anything scary open. Just up to yeah, because when you hover over them, they go more kind of like black.
Yeah,
Um, let me just I might
I
um
can't remember if if that's always been the case.
so let me stop sharing for a second. I'll just have a quick look at my self-hosted to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, I'm doing the same.
Yeah, no, they're grey although it's reasonably up to date.
Oh,
They're
wow,
grey on
yeah,
there as well. So sorry, let me share again. I'll just have a quick look at
no,
quick.
there, it was already there. Yeah, it's just me being.
Slow to the party.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Every embed sent by the Discord integration uses the color blue. With this MR, I'm changing it so that the embeds use the color that the event message has set. If no color is set, it falls back to the original color. Cool. Um, and since it's not private, I'll need a spec. So, and this is essentially why it needs to be a method, is it? Or something a bit further down?
I think it's the first one that you looked at.
Yeah, but it's the attachment. Right, so this case status when success.
this one was also just moved. The reason why is not in the chat messages, but in the way I use it in the integration itself. So a bit far down.
Further down.
Yep.
Here somewhere, or?
Yep. Exactly that thing.
And it's this bit here, right?
Yes.
So the message. Gotcha. Okay, so it's either an alert message, or it's a deployment message, or it's a issue message. These are all similar classes, I guess, whether they all derive from the same base class or base message. Cool. So the question is, so does base message have an attachment color? Let me open.
Ruby is missing the protected keyword.
I don't think it is. I think it's possible to have something protected.
It
But
is
that wouldn't
actually,
help me.
yeah. Did you say it would or it wouldn't, Nicholas?
It wouldn't, because I need access outside of the hierarchy.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so was this part of the MR as well? I missed that.
This one not, but this was planned because every message that does not specifically define a message would fall back to the old color instead of using the gray or what it was from the base message.
Okay.
So the messages that don't define a custom color stay with their orange that they currently have.
And that's all right for this one to be private.
Yeah.
But all of the other ones to be public. Okay. I'm sort of asking myself a couple of questions. First of all, like, do I agree with it or do I disagree with it particularly?
To be honest, I don't really see the point of testing that a method returns a constant value.
Yeah.
In some cases, it does. For example, when you
Yeah, okay, some of the messages have some logic, like returning different colors if like the pipeline was successful or not, but in some cases it's also just one hard-coded value.
Yeah. But then maybe would it make sense? I don't know. I guess you maybe don't have a spec for I don't know what you'd call it, or like if you would put it in the base spec or something like that. Where I don't know whether this is a terrible thing to do, but let's have a look. Like, would you maybe do something like, I don't know, describe attachment color, and then sort of have when, I don't know, alert message. I feel like this is not right, if you know what I mean, but
I mean, the other classes also have spec files, so probably that
but
would
then
need to go there.
but then it looks a bit weird having just a specific, like you say, just testing the hardcode value, whereas in here, if you've got like a bunch of contexts, it kind of makes a bit
Oh
more.
wow. Take a look into the alert message spec and look at line 42.
Turns the correct color. There you go, I guess. But then that's It's attachments. And that's color, not attachment color, right?
If you look into the alert message, you see that the color value is populated with the attachment color return value.
Oh, okay. Fine. Yeah. I'm a little bit on the fence, as I say, because part of me thinks it doesn't really make sense to test the const, but it does make sense to test the dynamic, like the override, if you know, like that. Oh, when my attachment is an alert message, then it brings in the right, i.e. the override is working.
Okay.
I don't know that I've ever seen that pattern before, though. Like I say, because it doesn't really make sense to have the test in the base spec, because like you shouldn't really be testing things that aren't in the base message spec. But that's where, in my mind, it almost makes the most sense to have it. But I see that it kind of seems weird, especially if what we end up with essentially is a single test in each of the specs, just checking that the hard-coded value matches.
To be fair, it's not always a hard-coded value. So
True.
In some case, like the pipeline message is a bit of logic in there to return the correct color based on the pipeline status.
So does this one remain alert message? Right, so you've had to make that public, and that's because of something further down, right? This one. And why set attachments? So it's an alert message, deployment message.
I think the attachments value is more like Slack optimized.
Okay. Yeah, because I was sort of gonna say, I don't particularly like it, but could this actually be like they did before, or whatever it was that, to avoid having to make them public?
Could be, but theoretically we could have multiple attachments because it's a list. So of which one should we get the color?
I saw that this one could only be, even that weirdly, it's like, well, it's an array, but it's hard coded for one item. This one's an array, but it's hard coded for one item. This one.
Descriptions.
I'm confused how that becomes attachments.
And in some cases, the attachments function also returns an empty array.
Yeah. Okay. But do you still need a color in that instance, or?
I don't really understand when it's empty and when not. So,
right.
But for example, in the issue message, we return empty array for attachments if it's not opened, but
Yeah.
we have also embeds for the events when issues get closed, for example. So they would need a color.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's a
Interesting.
weird thing.
I feel like I don't know if above my pay grade is the right word, but the the yeah, beyond my Ruby yeah, suggestion. I just don't know. I understand that it seems weird, definitely testing like a hard coded, as I say, that my brain immediately says, well, you know, that should be a const, but then I understand, or do I understand why it's not a const?
If you look into
Yeah.
pipeline message, you might understand a bit more why it's not a const.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously for this one that's fine. It's conditional. But this could have been a const before, I think, right? But now that you're trying to access it, like if it was only referenced here, then this could have been a const.
Yeah.
But now you're referencing it in here. Then it can't be or can it? No, no, because a const can only be accessed like I don't know what it's called, like alert, message, attachment, color. You can't do that, right? Or
Maybe it works because I've seen something like the upper, like the second one in some specs using the described class thing.
but then that would be so maybe you could do maybe it'd be more like that.
But that way we would have to deal with two cases if the color is defined as a const or as a method, and fallback if none of those are present.
But then you're already checking here whether it responds to attachment color, right? So let's have a crazy brainstorm. So let's dump this down there. So we've got if but then that's the next one. Should there be anything that doesn't? That's what I'm more interested in. So if it responds to that, then it still wants to be at the end, I guess. So then we're saying otherwise. So what instances would there be any when we didn't want to define this? I.e., should it ever default to? And yeah, I feel like we maybe don't even need that anymore, but maybe that would be. suitable? Does that seem good, bad, maybe?
I don't know, because I don't know if it's maybe it's required that we are overriding the method from the base class, because it's also used in some other ways still.
Well, yeah, maybe. I'll leave that note there on there. You can choose to have a look into it if you wish, or ignore it. Also,
dropped the bomb.
where's Eduardo? Amsterdam. I'm just gonna, in the very unlikely instance that he happens to be available, see if he wants to jump on. No, I think he might be at lunch or something at the moment.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, well, it's nice to bounce crazy harebrained schemes around, isn't it?
At least in Slack, he's set 2 away.
Okay, no worries. Anyway, I'm so sorry, Nicholas. I don't feel like I've been much help there, but it's an interesting problem. And now that I've posted a comment on there, I'm now subscribed to the thread, so I'll get to see how you move it forward. So, thanks for sharing. Where to next? Where to next? I think we. I see Andrew's here, and you've responded to him already. I'm gonna do a very poor attempt to pronounce Abushi. If you're there and you have anything that you want to bring to the table before me or Marco will take over, please let us know. In which case, Marco, the discussion that Anatoly brought up, did it make sense to you? Are you able to talk us through at least a question, and then we can start seeing if we can?
Kind of, because I did have a look, but I didn't fully understand what spec he's talking about.
So we sort of need a link to an issue or an MR or something to get a bit more context, really, don't we?
No, unfortunately, no. But just in case, so basically, Anatoly asked to have a look at writing a spec for simple file edit. When the new commit is created, basically he wants to test that when a commit is created after an edit, there's often a merge conflict if the fork is not updated. Yeah, to be honest, I don't fully understand even how to set up this spec, because I don't really know the scenario.
I think the main thing that it sort of questioning, highlighting, whatever you want to call it, is a similar challenge that I'm sure UI and everyone has faced regularly, which is how hard it can be to, I don't know, validate something, if that's the right term. So, you know, oh, I need to check that the pipeline, what's the word I'm looking for? Pipeline failed, but it was allowed to fail, and therefore it shows the correct icon. In order to do that, you need to set up a project with a GitLab CI YAML. You need to set up a runner. You need to trigger the job. You need to force it to fail. You need to do quite a lot. So having some good seed data is kind of really helpful, really important. Now, this is a very, very specific case, but you know, for there to be out of the box a project with a fork, with an MR maybe from the fork or something like that, that's maybe a good start, or I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only issue is that at least I didn't fully understand how we could set up the test that he wants to set up.
Yeah, the test definitely. The scenario maybe.
Yeah, once we know that, we can work out a seed for the database in order to set up the things that we need for that spec. But yeah, if I didn't fully understand how the scenario that he wants to test.
I know how challenging when I worked on the selective code owners stuff. Trying to set up, I'm trying to think what I had to do. So I had to set up a project with a code owner file. In order to have code owners, you need to have certain project members. So I had to add certain members to the project, the code owners file. We had to add some files so that there were different files in the repo with different code owners. Then had to commit something, then had to put several approvals on it, and then had to push another commit. So yeah, you can imagine the amount of setup that was involved in that. That's the sorts of things that can be quite challenging. But yeah, I don't have an awesome answer, unfortunately. But yeah, if we have an issue or an MR where we understand a bit more detail on that specific use case, I guess we could try and help to put something together.
Yeah, absolutely. If we have an issue, like you mentioned, if you have an issue or an MR, then we can have a look at that, and maybe next week we could have another look, because as it is right now, I don't really know.
Sounds good. So, but before we dive into another, I saw there were a few notes back and forth on the first issue. Is there anything we need to work on? We can work on anything that needs responding to, or to try and because I know we're 3rd of October, and that's inevitably being used a little bit for Hacktoberfest. So if we can get that merged soon, then that'd be awesome.
We can definitely have a look, but I'm pretty sure that we have all set up, and it's just waiting for the final approval, I guess.
Okay.
Let's have a look just to be sure. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Let me close a bunch of stuff.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Okay, you can see my screen, right?
I can indeed.
Okay, perfect. Let me get rid of the zoom bar. So yeah, we did have a little bit of back and forth. So I did apply the poll suggestion to basically get rid of the full ID and use the full path pipe ID. So once we fix the the GraphQL resolver, we just have to come here and remove the right part, basically.
Yes.
And that's good. We are missing to open a follow-up issue for this one. So let's do that.
That's the question I was going to ask next. I was like, does that functionality exist? And apparently it does.
It kind of does, because it's not really the same, but yeah. Remove it project ID from repo.
We could potentially work on this actually. If I remember, this would involve us basically making a change to like the resolver or the type or whatever it is to be able to pass a list
Yeah,
of full paths instead of IDs.
yeah, we could try to have a look because it shouldn't be too difficult because the search functionality is already there by multiple IDs. We just need to also handle multiple full paths.
Yep.
Okay, so uh, okay, follow up created. This was about adding other project that we did add, like Gitali, GitLab UI, and GitLab Web ID. By the way, I did drop the number of stars required
Mm-hmm.
projects coming from GitLab from 1,000 to 300.
Yeah, I saw. It looked to me like you actually did some crazy calculation and figured out that I don't know. GitLab has 1 million users and GitHub has 3 million, so therefore you take a third of the.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, I didn't do the math. Okay, this one was about basically the original code. Every time that the source file with the list of repositories was used, they then regenerated the file to remove those repositories that weren't satisfying the requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So I did remove that. First of all, because it was basically impossible to recreate the file now that it has a different structure since we don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But even then, it didn't really sound correct to remove a repository from there. But because basically the first time that a repository doesn't meet the requirement, it's gone until you add it back again.
Well, I guess it'd be gone until the scripts run again, right? And determines whether or not it's
No, or at least not until a new original file goes online,
yeah.
because
I would
it
have
goes
assumed
down.
that happens every time. I don't know what the cycle is, whether it's just
I
every
had a
time it's
look,
deployed,
and
maybe, or
no, I had a look at it. It runs every 8 hours, I think. So they did that to prevent the script from doing basically API code that were unnecessary. But yeah, removing a project only for that reason didn't really sound good. So we agreed on creating a log of repositories that basically don't meet the requirements, but leave them there, don't change the file. So I created a follow-up for that.
cool. Do you want to resolve? I don't know how.
I don't know. There's no resolve in here.
Down the bottom. There it is.
Conversation. Yeah, resolve. Where did it go? Oh, result. Okay. So let's do the same for this one.
Yeah.
This is the list of repositories that Nick provided.
Yep.
And I left a note that basically I had to remove 3 of them because we had the issue for not being able to get the group name, the full name of the group.
So anyone that lived in private namespaces.
Yeah, but even then, I wonder why we can access the project if it's inside of a private group.
What was that? Sorry.
How can we access a project if that project is inside of a private group?
I don't quite follow. We can access a project that's in a personal namespace, can't we?
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah, so that's when it doesn't work. So if you look at some of these, I suspect like Tim Vice, yeah, that's
yeah,
just
and this is
because.
one. Yeah, this is one of those that I had to remove.
So if you remove the FF send from the URL,
Oh,
it'll take you to Tim's user profile, presumably.
yeah,
That's because, yeah, that's basically a person rather than a group.
gotcha. Okay, so it makes sense. Well, then, 3 of these ones, I had to remove it from the list to avoid having to deal with possible null group names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we can always add them later on. This is done. So resolve conversation. This I did update the labels. Okay. So that's only a couple of suggestions, discussion with Nick. Yeah, here's the math.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's good. So no leftover open questions. So just waiting for Luca to approve and merge, hopefully.
Awesome.
Do you want to try and have a look quickly, like in 20 minutes also, if we can have a look at the GraphQL resolver?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's try.
Now we could actually look. The other thing we could look at is, the reason that we have to, especially as we've got Nicholas here with us, who's the expert when it comes to the namespace permissions, because that's what
Oh
was
no.
that's why we're getting this that's why we're getting this null error, because at first we were querying namespace full path, but that always returned null. So we changed to group full path, which works for groups but not for private namespaces. So
Oh, come on.
we can fix that permission check. Then we could change back to name instead of group. We can change back to namespace.
Okay. Let's go to GraphQL.
I'm waiting for Charlie on that problem with the namespace permission.
But am I right in thinking, or maybe we haven't got as far as I thought we'd got? So you've renamed the existing permission, is that right?
Yes, but the old one still has the old behavior because we need to check the dynamic usages of some where we don't have the full name, but like partly with string interpolation, if these are still affected or not. If we need to
Right.
make sure that they also can follow the new behavior if they check on the namespace.
Okay. It sounds like we're better off looking at the resolver that you were initially going to look at, Marco.
Probably.
I mean, we could look. Have you got? Is it an MR or is it an issue discussing this, Nicholas? That we could.
It's an issue, and
Or maybe you also, yeah.
Oh wow, I hadn't seen this.
Oh,
You've had to do some in-depth research there, right?
oh. Okay. Just to have a look. A public namespace shouldn't have their name hidden even when an anonymous user is making the API call. However, due to historical blip, read namespace really means has access. Oh, okay. I thought I should read even anonymous. Oh, so they're basically thinking about even splitting the read namespace into two different policies.
Yep, that's because we have some cases where we might need to keep the old behavior, like I
Yeah,
think,
like
for
the user
example,
page.
request access or something like that wouldn't make sense if you are already a member.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise, for example, if for the user page, if I have access for some reason, no, if I have access to that page, no, I wouldn't be able to be a member. Maybe that's not the perfect example, but yeah. This is quite
Is the problem that we're waiting for the existing one to be renamed before we can do the next step?
The existing one, we have an alias for that with the new name already,
Right.
but we have the old behavior. But we need to keep the old behavior until we have evaluated all the usages in the common build and at the bottom, so we know that it's safe to change the behavior.
and that's quite a lot of them.
Absolutely. So what I'm interested in, I'm just going to open up. So the one we're doing, it's the namespace type, right? Is the one that we're specifically interested.
We could switch it over to the new one, but that one also still has the behavior of being able to read because we have not changed that yet.
So I'm wondering, you're going to shoot me for this, if we could. So we've now got read namespace and read namespace via membership, right?
Yes.
And but they're both currently the same logic, the same behavior.
Yes.
So what if we created read namespace including anonymous?
Oh.
Yeah, I knew you'd cry. So we can put the new behavior in there, and we can switch like just this single authorization for namespace type over to that new authorization, that new permission policy, whatever we want to call it. And then we'll see what tests fail, what explodes, etc. And then, like, obviously the evaluation of all those other ones can happen in due course, and then, like, you know, does that sort of makes it so we kind of end up with the yeah, I think you know what I'm trying to explain.
To be honest, I think that it would be easier and maybe safer to just get the full path from here and strip the end.
All right, you didn't do that.
That's basically the same.
True. I guess I'm just thinking
Why
of.
did you even use the group?
I think
Because I thought only now about.
No. You don't have to make excuses, Marco, because you didn't do it. I did. So it's totally my fault. I think there was a couple of reasons. First was I was only intending on adding like a couple of GitLab projects, which were in the GitLab org group or GitLab com group. The other was that my initial instinct told me that, you know, open source projects would be in Ultimate, like open OSS, like with the open source license, in relevant groups and not in personal namespaces. So, you know, I didn't even really consider that personal namespaces would be used. And still, I feel like, I mean, mine's definitely clearly a workaround, but this would be a workaround as well. I'm more interested in sort of expediting the fix. And I feel like at the moment, if we've got to wait for us to evaluate all of the current usages before we can update the existing read namespace logic, then we're going to be waiting a while. If we can introduce a new permission with the new logic and start using that in a few places, then we can do the evaluation. And then once we're ready, we can do away with the new one. And then we can, yeah, I'm trying to find, I kind of want to draw something on the screen, but I'm struggling. So basically saying, we previously had read namespace. We've now got an alias of that read namespace via membership. I'm suggesting creating yet another permission read namespace, including anonymous. We then can sort of move a few of the read namespaces or whatever over to read namespace, including anonymous. And then once we've done all the verification, we kind of would have ended up swapping everything either over to read namespace via membership or read namespace including anonymous. Once we've done that with all of them, we can then change the behavior. We can change the read namespace or rename read namespace including anonymous to just be read namespace. I think that sort of made sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but it will make this whole thing probably even more confusing if we bring in another ability.
I think it is when I'm trying to describe it verbally, but if you look at it on paper as you've currently, well, you had one permission, you've now created kind of a copy of that or an alias of that to be more explicit. What we want to go to, I'm suggesting we create something new rather than trying straight away to make a change. And I think by creating something new, you're gonna have a better and easier thing to work with, where you've got like, right, here's the old one, here's the new one, and then you know we slowly update things to use the new one. And once they're all updated, then we can rename it back to what it was originally almost. It seems like a slightly more phased approach, whereas it sounds like what we're maybe trying to do is a big bang to change everything at once.
I mean, the problem here is that we are not explicitly using that ability, but it's being constructed from the read and with the type that we are passing in. So it's not something we can change only. So like if a method accepts projects, groups, and namespaces, we couldn't just change it to read via including
Got it.
anonymous because
Yeah.
it would fail for projects and not for groups because they are namespaces, but
No, that makes sense. That does make sense, but I guess that would impact. Did you split out in this list which ones are dynamic? I can't remember now.
all of them in this list are dynamic.
Okay. But I wonder how many non-dynamic usages there are.
The non-dynamic usages are all moved to the new ability already.
Perfect. Right. Okay. So
Because all of the results you have there should be from the policies itself or from the specs that check the ability.
perfect. Okay.
but I did see something I didn't like in your search, Marco. Seems like someone has used read namespace again.
Yep.
That's fine because that's a policy, but I see there's something in GraphQL, EE app GraphQL, the one below.
Oh, this is a comment.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay, that's probably fine.
You can sleep safely.
Yeah, okay.
This is not a comment, but it's
Yes, that's a spec. That's fine.
yeah. These are
Especially
all
because
back.
it's all a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then we
Don't
don't have
worry.
a problem with that.
Don't worry. Okay. So should we?
So Nicholas hates the idea. I'm impatient, hence why I've suggested the idea. So Marco, it's down to you to say how much you hate the idea.
I don't hate it because breaking the how's it called, the two things that have the same meaning into what they are supposed to be, it makes sense. And keeping the old legacy name for old legacy stuff and use two new names for the good stuff and convert the older name to one or the other makes sense. Also because I dare you to update all of these at once.
But I
So-
don't think we have a choice because these are all dynamic, right? So
Yep, this is also currently more like an evaluation to check if we can just change the behavior, so or if we need to do some work with them.
Yeah, because these are checking using read object
Yep.
type.
yeah. So it feels like
And the
my
new
solution allows us to iterate, maybe like to have a small step. And there were, so the achievements was one issue, right? So do you mind hopping back into VS Code quickly, Marco? So the two places that I'm aware of, I mean, obviously it's a load of places that are problematic, but if we go into, so what would it be? It would be group type, would it?
Namespace type.
Namespace type, sorry. Right, so that's using the new permission name at the top, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so this is one place. So that's to do with the achievement stuff, right? And the problem that Nicholas, your original kind of problem that you're trying to solve, then the problem that me and you are facing, Marco, is it's the same type, isn't it? Sorry. So yeah, actually the fix this will fix both of our problems essentially. If we can change it, so if we can create a new permission with the new logic and we just update this single usage for now.
And this might be more like the quick win situation.
Yeah.
And then we can address the other problems with much more time without blocking the bug fixes we need.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So just to recap, what you were suggesting was to basically have, where it did go. So this is an alias for has access.
Yeah, better said, this is a new ability, and currently the read namespace is an alias of the VIA membership.
Yeah. So right now these two are basically the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we could create a new ability with, yeah, what would it be? What condition?
So it's really oh, so this is group policy though, right? Whereas we want it to be. Oh God, now it's confusing because so where is this defined? Is it in multiple policies? Yeah, because it's in user namespace policy, it's in group policy, and it's in group project namespace shared policy as well. Wow.
But not a namespace policy.
Not in namespace policy.
Actually,
that-
namespace policy is an empty.
Okay.
Yeah, because namespace policy is basically group policy.
Yeah.
So what if, yeah, so where if you go into group policy, so directly below, so if you copy line 179, and can we do public group?
We could probably just read group, or use read group for this, couldn't we? Because read group already checks the visibility and member status.
Probably.
Public group.
Yeah, or logged in and viewable.
Or guest.
Or guest. Or admin, or...
Yeah, so there's quite a few things. So yeah, okay, let's just go with that. Let's just go with that.
So basically combine the two.
No, just can read group, enable read namespace underscore oh, God. Including public or including anonymous or
By anonymous.
We had a suggestion on the first MR, I guess. What was it?
Read namespace brackets from an include anonymous. Oh, allowing anonymous.
Yeah, we have with include anonymous was a suggestion, the original MR,
Okay.
but the other one would also be okay, I think.
yeah, I think including or including was my default gut one. But yeah, cool. So then do the same, I guess, in group project namespace shared policy.
Project.
We don't need to do anything here, I think.
No, also
Because
because
this
Why
this
don't
namespace is more like we enable it already in the group policy if we need it on the groups, and this one is probably also just adding to the policy, which is also used in the context of projects.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Just to see if it works. Let's try. And I did a GDK update this morning that actually failed because it tried to reapply a merge and it had a conflict.
Oh no.
So hopefully it's good. While this loads, I'll set up some boiling water. Too quick. Yeah, Explorer, and I'm
Yeah,
love.
GDK doesn't want you to get water.
No, GDK doesn't want me to eat. It's slightly different.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit peckish to be fair.
So this is a public project. But this is not on a user namespace. So project ID 7. We should use the same query. Project ID. Let's remove the labels filter. Project ID 7. This is working, and if I log out, oh, why? Project ID 7. Okay, we have to find a public project. Why can't I see the project?
I missed what
Maybe
JP is about.
use explore.
Let's try. Yeah, that works. Oh, we have a yeah, this is from the administrator. Because this is the user. Yeah. Okay, so we can try with this one, 18. Nope, group is still null.
Yeah, it's because it is not a group. You
Yeah,
probably
a
need to
project
check you probably need to check the namespace field and not the group field if you want to get to the namespace type.
Ooh. Nope.
But
We didn't fix the user namespace, did you? You didn't fix that policy.
And also
fix the namespace.
What's that?
Yeah,
Sorry.
but the user namespace policy still doesn't allow.
Yeah,
the
you didn't
policy
update that,
without-
did you?
But as far as I know, this is also intended because, like, if you look at line 5, it wouldn't help if we allow it because it would have been prevented there.
Yeah.
Because the user namespace is kind of a hidden thing as far as I know, and it shouldn't be really public.
Yeah. We're basically screwed by this line.
Well, at least you fixed it, like half fixed it, right?
Well, actually, no, because it did work even before.
No, I don't think so.
If we do this,
Yeah.
and this is a public project.
Mm-hmm.
Now get ready for your null.
Yep.
But this is a public project.
Yeah, but that's the
But-
bug. That's the bug. That's what we're trying to fix.
Yeah, group works, but
Group
namespace
type.
doesn't.
Oh,
Group
okay.
type is using the read group permission, I
Okay.
assume, which is not buggy, but the read namespace one is buggy.
Okay, so I was questioning why does it not work if it's working on first issue? Okay, why did I get
Because you still have the project from the administrator.
point? Okay, so here I do get it. If I use namespace, I don't get it. Okay, okay, so it makes sense.
Cool. So yeah, it all now comes down to whether it's worth that as a sort of quarter half fix, if you know what I mean. Like, is that? But I believe that what you've done there is better than how it currently it's fixed partly.
Yeah. So
But
I would be fine with that.
Yeah, this would work at least for the namespace. Yeah, I guess I could throw up an MR for this. We need to.
I don't remember how many tests failed, but it were a bit of a number.
I know I did have to deal with project policies in the past, and I didn't like it. Well, I won't be able to do it right now, but I can have a look this evening and see if, well, it's at least worth leaving a comment on that MR or issue, I don't remember.
Yeah.
With this proposal, I guess. Maybe it's actually better to leave a comment there before starting to write on an MR if they don't like the idea.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, it was what, like 2 lines that you did basically to get that working. So
yeah, not counting the specs.
yeah, but you didn't write the specs. So
Yeah, I had when I tried just moving read namespace to the read group ability, I had 53 test failures.
But that's a bit of a bigger change, right? Oh, sorry, that was just in this namespace type.
Yeah, this was just like what we did with the read namespace, including anonymous chain, but changing read namespace to this.
Oh, okay. No, I'd expect that to break a lot more, right? But what we've done here is just changing the namespace type, right? Which I would expect to maybe
so
have like
should
3 or
be,
4 test failures, maybe.
Yeah, should probably be less than what I had originally.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
So I'll leave a note in there later.
Perfect. No, that's
Yeah.
great. Appreciate that. Thanks, Marco. And nice to catch up with you, Nicholas. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Bye.